Again, welcome back to the big board and all that sort of good stuff. So, Pacific War, we're looking at the Malaya scenario. I think it's the first campaign scenario that you have an opportunity to explore. And I thought what I would do is I'll try and make this as brief as I can. I've run through the first handful of phases. There's not a whole lot to do for most of them. The two important, well, there's one important one, and that is the command point phase, which is here. We're on this track here. So each side gets a certain number of command points. I believe the Japanese receive 41 and the Allies receive 10. And you've got to allocate those. How many are going to spend this turn? How many you might want to put into a future turn, a future month, and then who's going to activate and all that sort of good stuff. And there's a mechanism and a process for doing that on the display sheets, which I'll show you in a second. So if we come back over here, you've got all the forces here, but then over here you can see these force groups. And basically what you would do is have all the units here and then have a force marker like this guy on the map representing those guys. Now, I'm not doing that because that's not as much fun to me. I want to have most of the units on the map where I can. Obviously, I've got the task forces off to one side because they can get a little big and a little unwieldy. But we're going to keep things on the board. And the way I think in my mind I'm going to do it is that I'm going to have all the units that are face up, I believe, is what I decided last night, will be activated. Sorry, face down will be activated. So it'll be like this guy here will be activated because he's face down. So that's going to be 2 activation points, 3 activation points. And then we've got an HQ there that'll be activated as well, and that'll roughly be it. In fact, that might even be too many because it's 8 points to activate the HQ, so I can only activate 1 unit basically, so he would have to go like that. And the idea there is I want to try and move this guy at some point, if I get a reaction, move into this hex or this hex here to block the railway, and just generally fight in the jungle versus fighting in the plains here, or the equivalent of plains. Now, I thought it might be interesting to discuss what the plan was for the Japanese. So let's just scooch down a little bit here. All right. We've got amphib units here with 3 infantry formations, 1 engineer and 2 regiments. And we're going to need to load them up and transport them to Malaya somewhere, somehow. We also have aircraft here, here and here. This is Saigon here. And for the invasion of Malaya, you can also take the land route. And so we'll be using the engineers and the armor and the infantry here. These are divisions and brigades and regiment size forces there. So the idea is I'll scoot around this way. I've got some other miscellaneous air here. Another naval force here, which is number 5, that is, it's going to be some cruisers and some light cruisers, and I want to bring those up and combine them with the amphib forces here. Oh, sorry, this is the cruisers. They need to combine together at some point and then head across. And then Task Force 2 has 2 more amphibious units and another 3 infantry units. So slightly stronger this time, but nevertheless roughly the same ratings, I should say. And so they'll also need to transition up to Malaya as well. And then down at the bottom of the screen, I've got 2 battleships and a cruiser here that would obviously add a lot of weight to any fighting that's going to go on up and around the Malaya Peninsula. So lots of opening movement to be conducted, and I put a quick post out on my blog with a little historical background. On the 8th of December, elements came across the peninsula here, fought pretty aggressively around Singara, and there's another town here, Yakata Baru, is where an actual amphib landing occurred. I'm thinking I might try and land here, though. We'll see. I don't know. Haven't yet worked all that out yet, all the logistics and stuff for doing that. So I don't think I can get as much force into the fight in December as perhaps happened historically, just because the number of command points was not going to let me move and activate everything. And I think I want to spend a little bit of time with the air trying to soften up the Singapore defenses. So break down that fortress location and or try and destroy the base that's there. We'll see. So that would be a lot of airstrikes going in there. And then particularly given that there's no cap on the very first battle cycle. So I think we want to take advantage of that and try and do that. And then we want to bring the battleships up, knock out the Prince of Wales and the Repulse here, and those destroyers. They're actually in this hex as well. That's why I've got them sort of at an angle across the hex spine there, like so. So Singapore is reasonably well defended. There was actually a fair bit of fighting that occurred on the way through, across Malaya in here. So, you know, we're going to see if we can't replicate some of that and see what happens. And then, so that's the rough plan. We'll see how that all pans out. Lots of moving parts to this game. I'm going to go off and work out how to do my first operation here and then run through the battle cycles, making sure I keep track of time and the lapsing of time. We're running a 28-day 28-day operation. If I can zoom over here, maybe I can show you that a little bit. Let me see if I can get the camera up. So we've got our time cycle set there. And you can see that I put the dummies out just to walk myself through that exercise. But here's my op end on day 28. And these are the dummies I placed down to kind of spoof the allies. That's what you would normally do. And that would be I think that would be the process that you would go through here for folks. If you were actually playing in a opposed manner. All right, whoops, excuse me. All right, there we go. Now, unfortunately, I cracked this screen on this this phone just a couple of days ago, so I'm not sure how long it's going to last, but right now it's all working, and we're relatively happy with it. So I think worst case, I would probably go out and actually pick up a secondhand one of these. Again, I quite like the camera. That seems to do the job just fine. Anyway, neither here nor there for you guys. Talk to you soon. We'll be back with actual gameplay at some point once we get all this stuff activated. I think I'm actually going to use about 37 command points to activate people, and that will leave me 4 command points that I'm going to push out to February for the last turn. So I'll have a few extra activation points there, and we'll see if that gives us a little boost at the end to maybe get that one extra unit or division or ship into the battle that might not have been able to participate later on because there are less command points in the 3rd month than there are at the beginning. All right, talk to you soon. Ciao.